I'm Arlene, host of the television talk show Ask Arlene, which airs on Thursdays at 6:30. And as a business consultant and life coach, I help you to move forward in your business, project, or endeavor. So if you always wanted to write a book, but you just haven't seemed to get started, or you always wanted to 10x that business that you already have, expand it to the next level, you know exactly what you need to do, but you just haven't done it? Well, I've already purchased all the courses, read all the books, the Tony Robbins, all sorts. I have several degrees, including a master's degree and credits toward a doctorate. I've sat with and met celebrities and done the networking. And what I realized is what I really needed was a mastermind group of people working toward my project, my business, or my endeavor. So what I've done is met with coaches and met with experts and put them together to work on your project. So join us today for our Mastermind networking group. I'll see you there. Click the link below and join us.
Hello, and welcome to the Ask Arlene Show, the show where you get to ask the questions and we answer them. We're so excited to join you today, and we have an exciting show because we have an excellent guest. We have Dr. Kim Nicholsen with us today to help us to overcome fear, get unstuck, and live our best life. So as you know, several years ago, let me tell you my story, I had a recruitment situation where I was recruited from New York City to go across the country or go to another state to be the president of a chamber of commerce in another state. So I was president of Chamber of Commerce where I was minding my own business. Then I got recruited out of 300 people to move into this new position. And I did. In good faith, I went, I joined the new company, and shortly thereafter, a couple months later, they changed the board, and the new board was not as enamored with me as the old board. You know, Black Lives Matter. Well, this Black life didn't matter to them. So not only did I get fired, but my picture was on the front page of the newspaper, and across it, it said fired. Guys, and I was stuck. I was stuck. I was just in the worst state that I possibly could have been in. And that morning I was supposed to go and do a speech for the Kiwanis Club, but I couldn't get up. I physically just couldn't go. And then shortly thereafter, my mom passed away, and I was even more stuck and couldn't really get up and move forward. Other than the essentials of life, I really stopped doing all the other things, like going to work and doing any functions outside of just my key responsibilities. So at that point, I knew that I needed to get up. I knew that I needed to make a change. I started going to conferences. I started reading all the books that I could find. And I found this thing called coaching, life coaching. I found a life coach, and she was able to help me to begin to get up again and begin to move forward. So I've been very, very interested in this whole concept of mental health and intentional mental health, which is why we have this special guest on the show today, because she is an expert in that area. And she is also the founder of a nonprofit that is on the move that deals with intentional mental health. So many of you saw this week the situation with Simone Biles. She is one of the greatest athletes of our time, a woman who has gotten medaled, gold medal after gold medal. So now we have this Dr. Nicholsen, to talk to us about how we can move forward from the challenges that we've had in the past and still be able to win at this game of life. Hello, Dr. Nicholsen.
Hello, thank you.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. Still a little nervous, but excited.
Excellent. We're all nervous. I'm always nervous. But that's what we're supposed to do, right? Put ourselves in situations that are uncomfortable so that we can grow and expand, right?
Yes, absolutely. I know, yeah. And
sort of.
But about half an hour ago, I was like, "Ooh, it's a big grow. This is a big one."
So you have been a therapist for 12 years plus. You have all the academic credentials. You have 2 lovely sons. You have a husband. So you have responsibilities. You've lived in life. And like me, you're the former president of your PTA for your kids.
Indeed. That's a journey.
Yeah. People who have kids understand that. So I want to know, having accomplished all that you've accomplished, you've had to come through challenges and difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we be just fearless and move forward, even when we know we're having challenges on our job, or we're having challenges with our kids, or we're having challenges with our business? How do we move forward despite the fear?
Well, I think the first part is we say fearless, but there is fear. So first we have to acknowledge it. We have to connect with the fear a little bit, which sounds strange, but sometimes when we acknowledge it and say, wow, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling fear, it calms us down a little bit. I talk about, we have the area of our brain, the amygdala, and I call it the dragon. And sometimes I refer to it more as like the baby dragon, the cute little baby dragon, because when that fear signal, it starts and you're feeling this danger, you feel it and you don't really know, you can't put words to it, because it's a very, evolutionarily, it's a structure that is very, very deep rooted. And it's what allowed us, it's these fears that allowed us to survive and evolve to the people we are today. But the problem is if we ignore it and say, just push forward. I'm not scared. I got this. I got this is great. But first pause and say to your amygdala, it's like, oh, I see you. And acknowledge that you're feeling the fear. Because when you don't and you ignore it, it's kind of like, and when you have a small child and a small child wants a cookie and you ignore the small child and you just say, no, I'm just ignoring you. And they get louder and they get louder and they get louder. And so that's the amygdala. It's saying fear, fear, fear. And you're like, nope, not going to pay attention. And so it gets louder. And now you're in fight or flight. And the world has like closed in to that, your perception is very, closes down. And now it's you freeze. You can't. It's fight or flight. You're frozen, and you can't problem solve, because when your perception narrows down to that pinhole, you lose your ability to look at your resources and look at the bigger picture and really move yourself forward. So when you feel that fear, the first step is acknowledge it, talk to it, treat it like the baby dragon, and say, oh, I see you, okay. And acknowledge it so that you can calm down that part of your brain that you do not have direct access to.
Okay, so that's really interesting what you said. You're saying the way that we control it, or maybe control is not even the right word. What's the right word?
Acknowledge it, embrace it.
We embrace it is to look at it and acknowledge it. And that's so crazy, because all of the motivational community, many times they're talking about, just focus on the thing that you want and don't focus on the thing that you don't want. But you're saying you do have to acknowledge it and you do have to look at it, because otherwise it's getting bigger and bigger over here while you're saying, I don't see you, I don't see you.
Yes.
So how do we acknowledge it healthfully?
I really like the, just talk to it. Just say, oh, I see you. Or acknowledging one of my favorite things that I work with are coping thoughts, and thinking in thoughts of, oh, this is hard and I can do this, but first acknowledge that it's hard and then move on to I can do it. A lot of times, our thoughts have a huge, or one way that we can indirectly connect with the emotional structures in our brain. So our thoughts of, it's like, for example, let's say you and I take a test, we both get the same grade. Biology, we get a C. I walk away thinking, oh yeah, I got a C, I'm a genius, I passed. And I'm like, yeah. And you walk away saying, oh, C.
Oh, never. Yeah, no.
I'm so dumb. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to do well. I studied and I still didn't do well. I'm not good at, we're going down different trajectories, right? But if you were to change that thought to, whoa, this is hard, but I can do this. Now you might do something a little more productive. You might go seek some help. If you're going down the path of I'm a failure, I'm terrible, you're crawling into a hole probably, and you're just kind of you're disconnecting, and you're not moving forward. You're not.
Okay. So we know that all therapists are not created equal.
Correct.
Just like all hairdressers, as I know, I've walked around with no hair as a result at times. How do we know which therapist is appropriate for us or which coach is appropriate for us?
Right. In therapy, in mental health, the primary agent of change is the therapeutic alliance. So mainly it's, do you have chemistry with the therapist? When people come meet me, I always do an initial free consultation because I feel like when people come in, I want them to have the opportunity to meet me, see if they vibe with me, see if they connect, and then go to 10 other therapists and see, or 5 or however many, before they realize, okay, this is the one I'm connecting with. Or if they come in and they're like, yeah, this is it, this is my jam, great.
I have another question. Do you find that when you meet people and you tell them that you're a therapist, that they kind of clam up and they're like, oh my gosh, she's evaluating me? I would be scared if I were to meet you at a dinner. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, it's funny because when I meet people and they do that, I just say, look, I am a hot mess most of the time. I mean, come on, look at this. I mean, how many times have I gotten calls from parents saying, hey, is Jason coming to the birthday party? And I'm like, oh, that's today, right now? And my favorite one was when I actually texted to a parent because I was so proud of myself. I remembered the birthday party. I had my son on his way to the birthday party. His dad was bringing him. I texted her and I was like, hey, Christy, Jason's on his way to the party. And she texted me back and she said, it's next week, Kim. No, my husband at that point did not have a cell phone. So I was calling the location and I was like, if you see a guy about this tall, like this, with glasses, wearing a green shirt and a kid going to a birthday party, will you just tell him it's next week? Because I had no way to get in touch with him. But I was like, yeah, that's me.
Things do happen. So you disarm people.
Yeah.
What's the secret to making people like you?
I think just being flawed, being imperfect, and embracing that, I think, and just trying to be genuinely my authentic self as much as I can. We all struggle with that, and there are times where I feel awkward. I feel like I don't belong, or I don't deserve to be places, or less than, or not good enough. I feel all those, and when that happens, I shut down. I did, but also being able to, at times, like even now, like right now, I'm absolutely terrified, but just saying, okay, this is what I believe, and being comfortable with that, and knowing that some people may disagree, or some people may, be frustrated with the way I believe things or the way I see the world. And I'm trying really hard to become more comfortable saying, well, this is my belief. I might be wrong. I might be right. Sometimes people will say, oh, well, what about this? And I'll say, oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Right. Well, as business owners, they say people buy from you the people that they know, like, and trust. And so it's so important as business owners, unfortunately, to be liked. People say, oh, well, it doesn't matter what people think of me. But if you are a business owner and you want to sell your product, you really do need to have some level of likability. So it is important, how to win friends and influence people. But we need to go to break. And when we come back, I want you to answer that question. And we also want to talk about Simone Biles and talk about how mental health has affected her situation in terms of her moving forward in the Olympics. And we also want to talk more about intentional mental health. All righty. We'll be back in just 3 minutes, guys. Hang in there for 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Talk show Ask Arlene, which airs on Thursdays at 6:30, and I'm here to tell you 2 reasons why you should join our Speakers Bureau training and how to become a world-class speaker. 1, revenue generation. People who know how to communicate well earn more dollars and cents. And 2, if you have a day job, you're not a speaker, teacher, author, trainer, you're going to gain promotion on your job if you're better able to communicate with confidence in those board meetings. Now, you say, why should I join your group, Arlene? There are so many programs out there. Well, I'm guaranteeing you an interview on television or radio if you complete our 10 sessions of our Speakers Bureau training. So I have a plethora of friends that do the same types of things that I do. And so we're guaranteeing you an interview on either television or radio. And you say, well, why else, Arlene? Why else should I join? Well, if you join our Speakers Bureau, After having taken the 10-session training, I am going to help you along with our team to launch that speaking career that you always envisioned so that you can use your message to change the world. So there's so many programs out there and they tell you how to be a speaker, but I'm going to actually help you to get booked on paid speaking engagements, on television and on radio, if you complete all 10 sessions and you join our Speakers Bureau. I hope to see you there and see you using your dream, your vision, and your talent to change the world. Bye-bye. See you there.
And welcome back to the Ask Arlene Show. We're so glad that you stayed with us. So we only have a couple of minutes left, but we're joined today by Dr. Kim Nicholson. She is a licensed therapist for over 12 years plus, and we're so excited because she's going to tell us how we can move forward in our businesses, in our lives, with our kids, and our careers. But in order to move forward in your business or in your profession, one of the key things is to be liked and trusted. And so Dr. Kim was just going to answer for us, what are some of the things that we can do to be liked?
Over the break, I was actually looking up, it's more about trust in my mind. And I feel like in order to establish trust, you have to, trust yourself. So that means kind of connecting with yourself and figuring out who your true, authentic self is. And then, being your true, authentic self. Okay. And that's how people can trust you. They can trust, that you are who you say you are, because you are, if that makes sense. And actually, one of the ways I learned that too is I was watching a TED Talk, and it was How to Regain Trust, and it was by Frances, I think it's Frey, F-R-E-I, and she talks about, being genuine, being transparent, being open, and trusting yourself and getting to know yourself so that, you know who you are, and then you can let other people know who you are. So for me, it's more about trust. Mm-hmm.
I've written a book. It's called The 10 Secrets to Overcoming Fear, Getting Unstuck, and Living Your Best Life, which is what we keep talking about on the show. And the first step is clarity, number one, which is kind of what you're talking about.
Yes.
So tell me how, let's say I'm sitting here watching the show and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's great. Clarity, yes, knowing myself. But how do I get to know myself? What do I do? Tell me step number one. What do I do?
Step number one, I say, we talk a lot about mindfulness and practicing mindfulness. And I say, is pause a couple times every day and check in with yourself. How am I feeling? Starting to discover, or establish more self-awareness. And I saw this in a training one time, and it sounds ridiculous, but instead of scheduling, some people say, okay, I'm going to set my alarm for 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and I'm going to check in then. It's nice. It's a good idea to do it randomly. And one thing we all do randomly throughout the day is we use the restroom. And so when you're getting up to use the restroom, as you're walking in to the restroom, that's a really good opportunity to check in and say, okay, how am I feeling right now in this moment? And is there anything going on right now in this moment that is dangerous, that is scary, or that is, I want to say disruptive or saddening, or, what's going on? And you're looking at how am I feeling on the inside and what's going on the outside. And that's what mindfulness, the most basic version of it, which for me is the most effective version of it, is knowing what's happening inside of my body, what's happening emotionally, physically, and what's happening outside around me.
Because, and you correct me if I'm wrong, we're thinking that things are happening and we're thinking that things are bigger than they really are. So if we stop to acknowledge, then we realize, oh, wow, there really is no huge threat here. I can handle the situation, right?
Yes, I'm safe.
So if you are a business owner or you are a young person getting into a field and you want to determine clearly, okay, what business should I be in, or what career path should I take? What are the things that you're doing in order to narrow that down and come up with an answer?
Well, one of my biggest things is I want, especially younger people, to have more experience different settings, different people, different occupations, listening to speakers or volunteering, and checking in with yourself while you're engaged in these different activities and saying, okay, am I connecting with this, or am I bored out of my mind and just want to go home and have a sandwich? I mean, it's, but really, especially when kids are going through their teen years or their early 20s, your brain is still developing. And in that moment, at that point in time, the brain is developing at an exponential rate. Really good time to go and just try to experience new things as a participant. And then also to participate non-judgmentally. Don't judge yourself.
Okay. So as a business coach, we tell people similarly that if you are looking to start a business, you should go into that area. Even if you have an opportunity to intern or you have an opportunity to work for a company that's like the one that you want to start,
yes,
you have an opportunity to experience it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And on the flip side of that, when you're experiencing that, you're also networking. So if it does happen to be your niche, you're already making some connections in that area.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about Simone Biles. So I'm always talking about what's going on in between your ears and mental health. And many people say, because I'm in the business space with life coaching, that, maybe we should focus more on the actual tools and tips and techniques of being in the business. But a lot of what we talk about on this show is the mental aspect, how to overcome your fears, how to get unstuck. Because if your mental aspect is not in order, it's very challenging for you to do well in your business. So one of the tools that we use to help people is the 5,000 step per day challenge, which we're going to throw to that advertisement at the end of the show, but also the speaking, because I believe that when you get constricted and you feel nervous about your business, or you're in a board meeting and you're nervous, the last thing you want to do is talk. And that's probably the paramount thing that you have to do, to talk, to share your business, to share your talent, so that people know that you actually come to the table with all of this knowledge. So what do people need to do? Number one, I know they need to acknowledge their mental health as important, but how do we get people to do that? I mean, Simone Biles is on television saying, I'm not able to move forward right now because of my mental health. And there's so many people that are yelling at her and screaming, saying, oh, just, go for the goal. What do you say about that, Dr. Kim?
I say that Simone Biles is a superhero. I truly believe what she did, and to publicly on a global stage say, I need to pause.
Right.
And take care of my mental health. And then interestingly, what happened after that, and when she first did that, I was like, wow, I was speechless.
Brave. How brave.
So brave.
Yeah.
And, she has sacrificed so much to get to where she is. And it would be really easy to say, no, and then kind of have that battle with herself, But then what was really interesting was after that, we started learning about or hearing about, what they call the twisties in gymnastics, and how her, when she lost, confidence and she was dealing with her emotional well-being, there is a really huge threat for actual physical danger for her. She could, they talk about, being on the balance beam and falling and hitting her head, or doing, when you jump to, when you, I don't know, triple whatever flip thing, which is it's superhuman. I don't know how they do that, but can you imagine falling in the middle of that, or getting lost in the middle of that and falling on your head, breaking your neck, that kind of thing? All of a sudden, we're now seeing this direct connection between mental health and physical health, that, her mental health was jeopardizing her life. And not in the sense of, of feeling, depressed or that kind of thing, but more like she kind of lost lock, and she acknowledged it.
She lost the focus.
Yes. She did.
Which is what I say about mental health. Like, if you don't have your mental health in order, it's very challenging to do well in your business. And you say one of the steps is to focus or to be clear. But if you're mentally foggy, how can you be clear? That's part of it. You'll notice that when you're checking in, you're saying, okay, I'm not okay. And then the other side of that too is mental health is shrouded in stigma. Like it's enmeshed with stigma. And it's interesting because stigma, it's a social construct. It's not real. We made it up. We're like, let's make this up. But we have to undo it, because I feel like as a society, that is one of the single most egregious disservices we're doing to our upcoming generations, and even to ourselves. Because, we do focus on physical health, and we get that. Someone has a broken leg, we don't expect them to run a marathon, right?
But when someone's
We
struggling
still
with,
expect them to take care of their kids. We still expect them to do well in their business. And
Mhm.
we're going to wrap up now, but I just want you to really share that, because we have so many coaches and there's so many people who are in all of these groups, and the groups are telling them how to do their business. But if they
Mhm.
don't get the mental stuff in order, how are they going to do well in their business?
the key there I want to bring up is self-care. And a lot of people see self-care as, oh, I'm going to go to get a massage, get a manicure, get a pedicure. But that's self-care is, pausing, seeing how you're feeling, setting healthy boundaries, knowing that there are times when it's okay. Well, it's always okay to say, you know what, not today, and taking that moment to breathe and to pause and, to really take care, to eat healthy, to sleep, to take care of their physical health, their mental health, and, focus on it and take the time to focus on their mental health. A lot of times, in a business, you're moving so fast, you're moving and shaking, you're hustling.
All righty.
You do that.
So thank you so much for spending the time with us today. It has been wonderful. This is part 1 of part 1 and 2. Are you agreeing to come back and spend some time with us?
Yes, this is so much fun. And it's feel like I have things to say, and it's really nice to have someone listening.
Yes, we are listening.
I have 2 kids, they don't listen.
Well, mine don't either.
Yeah, I say a lot, and they would listen to you, not to me.
Oh, thank you. And vice versa.
Right?
Vice versa.
Other people's parents. I say,
So I would like to thank you, the listeners, for spending the time with us today. We're going to ask you to continue to watch this show and other programs and to share them. Share them with people who you think will be helped. Maybe those who are in business or those who have kids, those who want to move forward from being stuck or from challenge. And I would also like to thank you, William, and also Angel, who helped us with the show today from our studio. And we'd like you to come back again next week, same time, 6:30, so that we can be with you again. And go to the website and type in any questions or comments that you have about the show today so that we can help you to move forward, get unstuck, and live your best life. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Arlene of the Ask Arlene Show, which airs on Thursdays at 6:30. Guys, we are doing a 5K challenge where we're asking you to walk 5,000 steps every day. During COVID-19, many of us are indoors. Many of us are not as active as we used to be, going to work, walking to take the kids to school. We're all indoors. And so we need to have a little bit of a boost and a challenge in order for us to become more healthy and become the best version of ourselves. So if you've been wanting to lose a few pounds, or maybe not, you just want to be as healthful as possible, join the challenge, guys. Go to bit.ly/Ask Arlene, capital A for Arlene, capital A for Ask, okay? And join us today for the 5,000 step per day challenge. Look forward to seeing you there.
Name some things I'll be without you, good. Stop the growth, I bet you think you could. Said you gon' leave me, man, I wish you would. Yeah, I'm different, so I'm misunderstood. So I'ma always be good. Said I'ma always